Welcome back, everybody. These are Doctors Irina and Susan bringing you back Tool Time series. And today we will discuss Claude. Claude, think about it as a reflective thinker. It was created by a company called Anthropic, and Anthropic was created a few years ago by an employee who used to work for OpenAI. And if you remember, OpenAI was the one that created ChatGPT, which was one of the very first AI platform. So they created Claude, and it specialized in reading and reasoning super long documents. It can turn really dense reporting, policies, research paper into clean and thoughtful, kind of short and concise insight. So again, it's known for their reflective thinking, analyzing super long documents. By the way, when I read that, Susan, I thought of War and Peace. You know, that's such a long writing. Like, it would be nice to run it through and say, "Can you summarize this?"
And it will.
Write. I'm sure it will. Yeah, it does write with emotional intelligence, and it's very good for really when you think about summaries, reflections, and tone when you have something super long and deep. Again, like every platform so far that we know of, it has a free version and paid version. And I can tell you that I used it, but the free version was very short, meaning I think within maybe half an hour of me asking questions back and forth, it told me, oops, you're done for today, ran out of your tokens. So it's not, I think it's free, but I would say cheap, because I know that I'm able to use Gemini and ChatGPT free version a lot longer than I was able to use Claude. So like we said, we're going to talk about strengths and weaknesses. Susan, what is Claude's strength?
Yeah, I think one of the things, and I think this in ChatGPT and others have caught up with it, but I think one of the biggest strength in the beginning of Claude was that you could attach files. That didn't happen with ChatGPT and Gemini and some of these others until Claude did, and they realized what the asset was with that. So obviously it can produce it's kind of a balance of depth and humanity. It produces an enormous amount of text, and yet it produces very respectful and professional, toned results. And so it's perfect for reflective writing and qualitative analysis. So certainly some uses, it certainly can summarize accreditation standards. It can draft very well-written reflective learning prompts. Again, using that humanity piece of it. So a lot of the emotional type of stuff that comes with it, and it creates a lot of empathy-based case scenarios. So in those types of nursing areas where I think empathy would be in all case scenarios, but there's certainly some areas that we want to be more empathetic than others, and that's where you would use a Claude for creating those type of things.
Agreed. Like everything, it has its weaknesses. So because it's so empathetic, Claude tends to play it safe, meaning that sometimes it could even not answer your question when it thinks that the answer would be, like you would be sensitive to the answer. And it could be very vague because it doesn't want to, quote unquote, hurt your feeling. So it's great listener, but it might need a very clear direction on how to respond to you fully. Because it could be overly cautious, you need to give very clear instructions for best results. And what I mean is, for example, if I want my AI platform to give me feedback on my chapter in the book that I'm writing, I would have to tell Claude, which I did. I said, please be like my English professor, who is very thorough, who is not very nice, who will find every mistake I made in my chapter, provide feedback. Don't think about hurting my feelings. Like, I really have to write all this up.
Right.
And then hopefully it provides me something that's a little bit more critical. Otherwise, I'll say, oh, Irina, this is so heartwarming and this is great.
Yeah.
And if I might
You
suggest
do
you.
have to remind Claude to be very objective and to state what's there, regardless of the humanistic or the caring piece, because as writers, as nurses, as whatever we do, we have thick skin. So I always say, give it to me like it's straight out, right? And so that's what Claude needs to hear from our
That's
prompt.
right. Yeah.
It's so valuable again in patient education and resilience training. We can use Claude to summarize student reflections and design ethical questions. Ethical discussion questions are great because of the background that Claude uses to instill the results. Nurse administrators can use Claude to compare old to new policies and really generate drafts of procedures based on regulatory standards. One thing to remember about Claude, if you're thinking of which AI tool should I use, think about things that you want to create and remember that Claude is there to help you think deeply, not just quickly. So it may take a little bit longer to get results from Claude and may take a couple more prompts to get exactly what you want um, to be able to use it. But it gets pretty deep, and I think that's one of the highlights I think of Claude when we're talking about comparing it to other platforms.
Agreed. So please stay tuned. We're bringing you more tools with endless possibilities. Please find us on LinkedIn and Facebook by typing hashtag Nurses for AI or Nurses for Artificial Intelligence. If you like this video, please subscribe and like it, share it with your nursing colleagues. It's important to get this information out to more people. So thank you and stay tuned.
Thank you.